Well, hey there. Welcome back to The Scoop. Once again, we are back for another week. 3 in a row.
I know, this is in 4 and 5 weeks. I think that we're surprising ourselves even.
So, yeah. Which reminds me, we are looking for topics. And so if there's things that we could talk about that you would want to know about, please let us know. Leave a comment. We have some other things that we're working on and researching and studying for. And so those are going to be coming. We take requests. We're open to know what do people want to hear.
Well, this week we want to talk about retreats in camp and why we think that they are awesome and important.
Yeah, so it's retreat season. So registration for our fall retreat for high school is just opening up. We got winter blitz coming up for middle school as well, and then summer camp. And these are just great opportunities, and we think they're super important for students to get involved in. One of the big keys for why we think retreats are so important is just the time factor. And so this is quality time with students. This is a large quantity of time with students. We recognize that we only have so many hours in a given week to be with students, and retreats just multiply that. So.
I mean, you think in a given week, if a student is here on Sunday morning and on Wednesday night, that's 2.5 hours that they're spending on a retreat. You know, on a weekend retreat, that's 48 hours. And on a week-long retreat, you got a whole, what is that, like 120 hours or something?
Although we sleep a little bit.
We do sleep sometimes, although the
kids take 10 hours off of each one. 10 hours of sleep for the whole week of camp and 10 hours of sleep for a weekend. So works out to be about the same, it feels like.
Yeah, but it's a lot of time. I mean, it's a huge chunk. The fact that one weekend trip is equal to the amount of time that we will spend together as about 10 weeks of Disciple U and Wednesday night.
Yeah. I got really close to my high school leaders because of our retreats. Like I just remember Rich Weaver, going to winter retreat with him and just wanting to avoid a snowball from Rich, but just like those memories of someone who was really important to me through high school, and just a great relationship that I developed with my leaders. And so I know for myself that most of the guys that were in my wedding were people that I went on camps and retreats with when I was in high school. 20 years later, I'm still very close to the people that I spent a lot of time with. And so there are people that invested in me and who I've invested time with.
Yeah, the relationships that you make at a retreat or at camp are huge. For me, Velocity, I've been over 10 times, and just being able to go back now as a leader and seeing people that were students there when I was a student that are now leaders or that are youth pastors, or seeing my old youth pastor still there, and it's such a cool thing. The relationships that you build, so you definitely grow in your friendships with the people from your own church, but also with the people from elsewhere in the world.
Yeah, every year when we meet with our 8th graders and our seniors, as we kind of send them off and move them on to what's next in life for them, one of the things that we hear basically every year is, I wish I would have done more earlier. Like, I wish I would have been fully invested right off the bat. And it's not an age thing. I really encourage it from 6th grade coming in, like, do as many of those things as possible, because there are things that you look back on and you regret, or you wish that you could. And you can't do everything, and that does happen, but we do want to be a part of trying to make it happen for as many people as possible.
Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, and that's a huge thing. We want everybody to be able to experience these retreats, to experience camp, and we don't want finances to get in the way of that. So if you're saying, man, camp sounds awesome, retreat sounds awesome, but it's just not possible for us financially, don't even let that be a consideration. Talk to us. We would love to connect you with the resources that we have. We will make a way for any student who wants to go to camp, because we don't want people to miss out on that.
We set aside budget money for scholarships. We have families that want to offer scholarships. I just had talked to a family this week that said, we want to make it possible for kids to go on fall retreat. And I said, oh, well, you have 1 or 2. And I'm not thinking 1 or 2. We're thinking at least 10. And so how can we write a check in order to make it possible for people to go? And we have families like that. So whether you are one of those people that's in need, or if you are a family who wants to help other people go on retreats, we have families who no longer have kids in student ministries who have said, this was such an impact on my kids' faith that I want to make sure that every kid can go. And so they've just written very large checks that I can't write in order to say, no, we're sending 4 people to camp this summer. And so whether you could use the hand or could lend a hand, we'd love to hear from you on in making it possible for students to go to camps and retreats.
Yeah, one thing that we offer to everybody is if you have 3 kids that are going to camp or going on a retreat, the third one's free. And as somebody who benefited from this a lot in youth group, I would say take advantage of this. We want to have your kids go to camp, but we don't want it to be a financial burden on your family. It gets expensive, so third kid free.
Yeah. And one of the things that we want to get better at this, because we often forget, they sent 2 high school kids to fall retreat, but then they had a middle school kid and they paid for that one. And so we want to get better and making sure that if you've got 3 kids that are going to be going on retreats with us, it doesn't matter if it's 2 for high school fall retreat and 1 for middle school winter retreat. Like one of them we want to take care of because it is an impactful time. It's a quality time, and for all the fun that they have, it's memories of walking with Jesus and those moments in the sand. I think of like Joshua and Israel crossing the river and like going to grab the rocks, that memorial to say, no, we want to build the altar here so we can remember when God led us through the waters, just like he led us out of Egypt. And like, this is that memory maker. And so that's why we're always doing t-shirts for those things, because they they become those memory makers.
It's a cloth Ebenezer.
Ebenezer. And so we will leave your students with a cloth Ebenezer basically on every trip that they go on with us. And just that reminder of this is what happened, and I can remember this is what God did.
Yeah, if you have any questions about what is camp, what happens on a retreat, anything about that, you can always contact us. We'd love to talk to you. And if you have a question about something completely different, let us know, and we can help you with that too, or have a whole episode dedicated to it.
Absolutely. So, thanks for your time.
See ya.